Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Ohio Workforce Coalition's May webinar. I am Rebecca Kushner, Director of the Coalition. On behalf of our leadership committee and members across the state, welcome. This year, we have started a series of webinars that have been chaired and put together by our leadership committee. And we are continuing that this month, and you'll learn, excuse me, more about the speakers in just a moment. Since we are celebrating 15 years this year, we have a goal of raising $15,000 to support our efforts. So please consider, if you're able, in the link there is or in the chat there is a link to donate. If you're able to, please do so we can continue bringing you these great sessions. Since 2007, the coalition has been bringing together leaders from education and training, economic and workforce development, business and industry, labor, and human services to grow prosperity across Ohio by advancing policies and practices that improve training and supports for workers, improves the quality of jobs, and equity of our systems. Today's session is in a Zoom webinar format. We will have time at the end for questions, but please do use the chat to share your questions as our speakers are presenting, and feel free to introduce yourself in the chat, respond to questions. One of the biggest priorities of the coalition is to bring folks in the field together to be able to network and talk more about the work that's happening across the state. Coalition webinars are the fourth Thursday of the month at 1 p.m. They are recorded and available on the Ohio Workforce Coalition website. You can see the website there on our screen. You can also follow us on Twitter. We will post recordings there as well. And finally, please do consider following us on Twitter. That's where we go to post updates and new information. It's the first place that you'll see resources, information from the field, and announcements about webinars. So I want to dive into the presentation. This is Community Action Month, and we are very pleased to have some focused attention and focused speakers from our community action organizations across Ohio. I am going to hand it off to my colleague, Tony Cunningham, who is a member of the Ohio Workforce Coalition's Leadership Committee, and she will be introducing our speakers, or she'll be introducing ours. And then we'll have Yvonne introducing each of the speakers. So again, thanks for being here. And with that, I'll turn it over to Tony.
Thanks so much, Rebecca. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome, welcome. Really excited for this conversation today. I actually know a couple of ladies on the panel, so it's exciting to reconnect with them and just hear more about what's happening. But I do bring you greetings and welcome from the OWC leadership team, who works hard and tirelessly every day to push forward workforce development and our agenda around making sure that individuals who are unemployed or underemployed have opportunity to engage and to get the skills needed and to land these great paying, thriving wage jobs that we all want to see them have. So with that, what I want to do is introduce Ms. Yvonne Cherell, who is the CEO of Ohio Urban Resources Systems, better known as OURS. Yvonne is a respected state advocate who fights for social justice, equity, and inclusion for all Ohioans. She currently serves as the first CEO, hear me now, first one, of the Ohio Urban Resources System, a leading voice of urban low-income communities by advocating for policies that alleviate poverty and promote self-sufficiency. She has more than 25 years of experience in the human services sector, and she's led many innovative and unprecedented programs, securing funding and multi-million dollar, to the tune of multi-million dollar amounts, having events for participants as large as 5,000 attending. Her eclectic career also includes her passion for advocacy and public policy. And she was a former development director and member of NABO Columbus, which is the National Association of Women Business Owners. And she provided key testimony and support resulting in the passage of SB 105, legislation that will remove hurdles for minority women and veteran entrepreneurs. She also has her own consulting service called Freeman Focus Management, which is awesome. Yvonne, I won't go into her full bio because she has an impressive body of work. But what I will say is she and I are both fellows of the African American Leadership Academy, which is amazing. She was in the Cleveland Leadership Center, Bridge Builders Program, and Fundraising Leadership Academy. And she's a life member of the Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated. So Yvonne, without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to you and you can introduce your colleagues and lead us into this amazing discussion for today.
Thank you, Tony. I appreciate it. And I'm so happy to be here to be able to talk a little bit about community action agencies and the things that we're doing to help move people forward. One of the pleasures about today and being here is that May is Community Action Month, and specifically today, as a part of our awareness campaign, it's Throwback Thursday. So let me start with a little bit of telling you about the history of community action agencies for those who are not as familiar. So back 50 years ago, in March 1964, President Lyndon B. Johnson delivered this really courageous speech to Congress declaring an unconditional war on poverty. And at that time, President Johnson asked for Congress to pass his Economic Opportunity Act, which turned, of course, into the Office of Economic Opportunity, OEO. And at that time, we created then the community action agencies to, the goal was to obviously strike poverty at its source. And so President Lyndon B. Johnson felt as though that we need to touch the root of poverty, both in rural communities, Appalachian communities, and in the urban communities. And so part of that proposal at that time included Job Corps. Some of you all may remember that. I remember Job Corps in Cleveland, work training programs, work study programs. We were just talking a little bit about summer jobs for young people. So all of these great initiatives at the time were obviously targeted so that we can eliminate poverty in our communities. Here in Ohio, we are happy to be a part of the Ohio Association of Community Action Agencies, which is the largest community action agency network led by Field Code. And OACA is, they're designed to support education and advocacy through quality training programs and raise awareness of poverty in Ohio. Currently, we have 10 urban community action agencies as a part of our programs, and they all provide model programs serving up to about, offering approximately 145 programs throughout the state. And in our recent community needs assessment report, it shows that our agencies alone serve about 56% of Ohio's low-income families. Think about that again, our agencies. We comprise of approximately 16 counties, and we serve 56% of Ohio's low-income families. And the last thing I'm very proud to share with you about the history and who we are of ours is that as we continue to work through this unceasing pandemic, I want you to know that our agencies have never closed their doors to our communities, to our residents, and to our neighbors. We continue to provide programming. We've adapted to serve more neighbors, more deeply, and with greater passion. And so we've been doing this for 50 years, and we are considered a trusted agency and a leading voice on behalf of low-income families here in Ohio. Now, let me give you a little bit more history, because I'm always very, very proud to share who we are. And it's Community Action Month, so that means it's kind of like our birthday a little bit. So we were incorporated in 1985 to serve Ohio's urban poor families. Today, as I mentioned before, we represent our agencies. We represent 56% of the state's total population and 62% of households that are living below or at the federal poverty level. But the real work lies within our communities. The real work lies within our organizations who employ approximately 2,000 staff who administer a plethora of self-sufficiency and immediate services. When you look at our milestones and you think about some of the benchmarks and the great things that we've been able to do, as Tony mentioned before, in 2021, Ours decided to put a ring on it. So I've been with the organization since about 2016 in a contractual role, and I'm so pleased to share that they have selected me to serve as their first CEO, first full-time employee last year. And since then, we've been able to expand our support system by employing our roadmap team, which are representatives that comprise from the different organizations, as well as a wonderful team of consultants that I work with on our fiscal management, content management, and legislative activities. In advocacy, we find ourselves continue to grow. So over the years, we have proved ourselves to be one of the leading voices for low-income families in Ohio. So led by our legislative consultant, we support and advocate for political and social issues such as livable wage employment, affordable housing, access to quality childcare, early childhood education, and resources for adults so that they can build their self-sufficiency. Since 2016, our events and training curriculum has grown exponentially. I'm exceptionally proud of recently, we just hosted our first Women's Leadership Symposium in March during Women's Month. And with approximately 35 to 40 participants for the very first session, we were able to really dig a little deeper and help women leaders understand the balance between work and preserving their mental space. So we offered a couple of different networking opportunities between paint and sip and doing a little yoga, some things so that we can also understand that in the middle of all of this burden and these carries, that we still have to take care of ourselves first. So make sure you listen for the next leadership symposium next year. This is your official invitation. So save the date, March 22nd through the 24th, 2023. You're all my special invited guests to our Women's Leadership Symposium next year. And then lastly, we are a growing repository of data and information collection. It's really important that we begin to tell our story and that we share the narrative of what's happening in urban communities. So as I mentioned before, in 2020, we launched our first statewide community needs assessment report with the help from Community Builder Institute at Xavier University. And we'd be happy to share that report with you. But what you will find is a very comprehensive overview of each of the counties that are serving urban families in Ohio and the things that we're doing very well there. So let's talk about the hours impact. The hours impact, as I mentioned before, and I really want to drive home these numbers because I really want our partners and our stakeholders, I want you to understand the magnitude of this work, our trusted history over the years, and why urban community action agencies continue to be a go-to entity to be able to lift people out of poverty. Again, ours agencies, we reach more than 56% of the state's total population. And remember, that's 62% of those households that are living at or below the federal poverty level. Now, let me talk to you about some hard facts. Out of those 16 counties served among our partners, just our agencies alone, 11 have an employment rate worse than the overall state rate. 11 of them. 11 have an employment rate worse than the overall state rate. 20% of our partner programs are targeted at work development and employment. 12 have a greater percentage of children in poverty compared to the state overall. That's just half. So 12 have a greater percentage of children in poverty compared to the state overall numbers. 5% of our partner programs address Head Start and accessibility. So as I mentioned before, we've been doing and serving, educating young people, making sure that they're kindergarten ready for 50 years. On the average, we graduate approximately 3,000 young people to kindergarten every year within our organizations. And I'm happy to tell you, I am a former Head Start mother. My son is a former Head Start baby. And right now, he is an awesome director of housing initiatives at Impact Community Action Agency. So it's a full circle family. So that's one of the reasons why I believe in urban community action agencies, and I know what we can do. 10 of our agencies have a greater percentage of individuals experiencing food insecurity compared to, again, the overall state's number. 2% of our partner programs address food, and 6 have a higher percentage of individuals experiencing a severe housing cost burden compared to the state figures. And then the last number I'll bring to your attention is 48% of our partner programs are targeted at housing and housing assistance. This is the heavy lifting, friends. This is the work that many of our organizations are doing on a day-to-day basis, amid pandemic, amid the recession, whatever is going on in the political and social climate. Urban community action agencies have been there. We continue to be there, and we continue to pivot in a way so that we can make sure that we are taking care of our neighbors and our families. So let me talk about the key programs, and then I'm going to turn it over to my wonderful colleagues who are really the experts in the field. So just looking at this graph, we're happy to be here today to brag a little bit about our best practices and our model programs that are lifting people out of poverty and positioning them for self-sufficiency. That's what urban community action agencies do very well. We're not just providing people with some sort of tools or the access, but we're actually helping them get over that threshold, whatever that threshold may look like. Sometimes it may be financial literacy. Sometimes it may be filling in some gaps in some skill sets that may have been lost or underserved over the years. And so that's what we've been doing very well. The top two priorities among our agencies are related to meeting housing needs and supporting workforce development. And again, we're so appreciative to Rebecca, to Tony, to Carter, and all the folks at OWC for allowing us this opportunity to be here to share more about what's working in urban communities. Among our 10 member agencies, there are about 145 programs total. So just under half of those programs, about 48% are related to housing and housing assistance. So that means like utility payments and weatherization and things like that. The workforce development programs also account for another 20% of those programs. And then family services, those that are relating to like parenting and older adults, which Tomeka could probably talk a little bit more about that at some point, because Pathway is one of the leading organizations who are helping fathers and families stay united. So those are just another example of the 7% of the programs that we're offering. And then lastly, of course, we are taking a chunk out of these budgets and looking at the other 5% that are focusing on, again, fiscal management, maybe transportation, healthcare, and so on. Ours understand how we need to continue to maintain the contemporary status and be able to address where our families, where they are. That's very important to us, is to make sure that we are meeting people, meeting their needs where they are. So many of our workforce development and career pathway programs are now shifting a little bit from like the skills gap narrative to more of a long-term stability that brings more of a greater impact and ultimately revitalizes urban communities. That's the ultimate goal. The goal is to make sure that we're making people whole, to make a community whole. And so that's what our organizations are doing very well. So what you will hear from the experts coming up is how we are making that shift happen. And what are some of the characteristics, or what are some of the things that we're doing a tad bit different so that we can move from this more transactional kind of approach to something that's more career coaching and something that's more long-term for our families. So one of those things that we're doing, and you're going to hear this from Teresa, Marilyn, and Tomeka, is that we're aligning workforce programs to support like a pipeline of workers for upcoming career fields. So we all know that Intel is coming to Franklin County very soon. We know that there's Franklin County also has a green jobs program. We want to make sure that our constituents and our families are prepared for those type of new opportunities in our communities. The second thing that we're doing and making that shift in our workforce development programs is we're developing incentives for employers to create like good jobs. You know, we want to make sure people have livable wages. We want them to be able to have childcare or access to childcare on the job. We want them to be able to have healthcare benefits. You know, those things that sometimes don't match or not synonymous with you know, low-paying jobs. So we want to continue to support the state, and we want the state to further support companies that are investing in people. We still have to invest in our people. And so we want to be on notice that that's the direction that we're taking. The third thing that we're making a shift is developing programs and policies to reduce racial disparities in wages and occupational clustering. And I don't think I have to go into many details about that, but we've all seen some of the recent reports how obviously people of color, women of color are still earning not even half of what other counterparts are in our country and in our state. So we want to continue to support policies and companies that are doing a good job of making sure that their all of the jobs and opportunities are equitable for everyone. And then the last shift that we're making happen is the support and registering of minority and women-owned businesses. As you heard from Tony, just a small part of also my professional passion is supporting women-owned businesses, Black-owned businesses, and veteran-owned businesses so that they can have the same kind of equitable opportunities as everyone else. And so we want to also put our constituents and clients in that position to be able to grow. So now that you've heard enough from me, it is my pleasure to now turn over the agenda to my colleagues. I am happy to introduce them in order of presentation. So first you will hear from Ms. Teresa Gary. Teresa is the new Vice President of Workforce Programs for Impact Community Action Agency here in Franklin County. She has a very extensive and impressive background in Community Action Agency coming from the North and now here in Central Ohio. After Teresa, I'm happy to bring up Marilyn Montes. Marilyn is the Chief Operating Officer of Mahoning-Youngstown Community Action Partnership. Marilyn is a go-to entity. She is a staple. She is positively one of the experts in the field. If you have ever been around community actions agency and you don't hear Marilyn's name come up, you're not in the right place, because she is absolutely the go-to individual in our space. And then a rock star in the group is Ms. Tomeka Rushing. Tomeka is the Director of Employment and Career Services at Pathway in Toledo, Ohio. We recently very proudly featured Tomeka and her staff at Pathway for all of the awesome work that they're doing to, again, revitalize the Toledo community and give constituents and families an opportunity to grow there. And Tomeka has just been a rock star in this space, really understanding what is going on in the community. So I want to just personally say thank you again for having us this month. It is Community Action Month. I encourage you, please go to our website. We would love for you to get to know us a little bit more, scan our history, get to know our board members and our consultants. Please follow us on Twitter. We love engaging with our stakeholders and our colleagues. And at this time, I'm going to stop and now turn it over to Ms. Teresa.
Thank you so much for the welcome and introduction, Yvonne. I am going to share my screen. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Thank you. So my name is Teresa Gary. I'm the Vice President of Workforce Programs for Impact Community Action Agency. Thank you guys for having Impact so that we're able to share the great work that we do here. Impact Community Action's mission is to fight poverty by providing hope, inspiring help, and real opportunities for self-sufficiency. The resources and services that we provide, we take a holistic approach to how we work with our clients through emergency assistance, empowerment services, which is one of our workforce development programs, youth services, which is another one of our workforce development programs, our energy efficiency, and also research and planning, and engagement and advancement. So I'm going to start and talk to you a little bit about our empowerment services programs that we offer. Build Up Careers, our Connections program, Side Hustle, Impact Health, Reentry Work Readiness, Impact IT, and then our financial services programs. So let's get into it. Our Connections is our workforce readiness training. Connections is a 3-week holistic workforce development training focusing on self-management, personal and professional development. What we'd like to cover in that class is our job coaching. Our participants receive customer service certification. We also provide tons of wraparound services to make sure that we uncover any obstacles or challenges to anyone being successful, and also a $100 a week stipend for individuals going through that program. Connections increases the competency and prepares job seekers for the workplace. Let's talk about our career pathway programs. We have several of them, so I'm going to start with our Build Up Core and also our Skills Trades. Build Up Core is a 6-week program, and our Build Up Skills Trades is a 12-week program. But they provide hands-on training and nationally accredited certifications in construction trades and carpentry. They get that through the NCCER, or the National Center for Construction Education and Research certification. And it's also comprehensive case management support from our self-sufficiency coordinators in order to direct them on the right path and make sure that we are placing them in positions that align with the certifications that they received. Our Empower program, which we're so excited about, we are now embarking on this journey in the clean energy sector, and it is the wave of the future. It is where our community is going. It is a 12-week career exploration program for young adults between the ages of 18 and 24 who reside in the city of Columbus. It focuses on providing people of color, women, and people from opportunity neighborhoods pathways to good paying careers that lead to upward mobility in the construction and clean energy sector. Young adults will be exposed to careers in the building trades, solar, EV charging, which is new and up and coming, AEP Ohio line worker, and affordable housing manufacturing. Next up is our Roads to Work program. We are in partnership with Capital Transportation. This is our CDO program. Roads to Work is a 5-week holistic training program that leads to a Class A commercial driver's license. Our Impact IT offers Franklin County residents the opportunity to complete their CompTIA and CompTIA A+ certifications that will help kickstart an IT career. This program is a 16-week curriculum and offers a $100 weekly stipend as well. And then our Impact Health Medical Assistant program, which used to be 2 different programs. We had a phlebotomy program, and then we had medical assisting. What we found was that in line with what Yvonne spoke about earlier, making sure that people that are going through our programs are trained to get to a place where they can have a livable wage. We decided to pull the program together as just a medical assistant program, and then have stackable certifications, which will allow for a person to have or be more in line with salaries that line up with where we are. I think the average wage is about $19.83 in the city of Columbus. We partner with LaRock Healthcare Academy and to provide individuals with the knowledge and skills to become medical assistants. This is a 7-week training program where participants receive 4 credentials: phlebotomy, EKG technician, multi-skilled technician, and then also medical assistant. Re-entry work readiness, obviously 1 out of 3 individuals looking for work are justice involved. And so this is an important piece and an important part of our work. Our re-entry program is a 3-week program that teaches skills necessary to successfully integrate formerly incarcerated individuals back into the community. We focus on missocialization through cognitive behavioral therapy, comprehensive case management, and also provide wraparound services for those individuals as well. And they are eligible to partake in any of the programs that we offer here at Impact. Our financial services program covers several areas. One of those areas is our Drive to Thrive, which is a 2-to-1 match savings program that supports individuals leveraging their savings to gain an asset through vehicle ownership. The program leads to increased financial capability and also vehicle ownership. Our Smart Tax Prep, we work with the United Way of Central Ohio for Smart Tax Prep, and it offers in-person tax preparation for filers who earn less than $65,000 annually. Income eligible filers' taxes are prepared by certified volunteer income tax assistance professionals. And then our side hustle program. We're all looking to make some extra cash, all looking to come up with that entrepreneurial endeavor that will make us millionaires, right? Well, our side hustle program is an introductory entrepreneur class that gives the tools and the support to launch and maintain a small 1 to 2 person micro enterprise by the time of graduation. They will have the opportunity to earn $800 in training stipends and an additional $1,000 through our IDA account. The class will be taught in a virtual format using Zoom Monday through Friday, and it's from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. These are the income eligibility requirements. If you have any questions about that, I'm going to give my contact information and we can talk further about it. Our Achieve More and Prosper program, we're getting into our youth services programs. It's an innovative program that assists low-income young adults build careers and find employment to break the cycle of poverty. We help the pathways for our youth, our employment, education and training, entrepreneurship, enlistment into the military, and also career exploration. And then lastly, I'm going to cover our 2 after-school programs. Well, 3 after-school programs. One is our Boss Up program. It's our entrepreneurial program and exposing our youth to how to become an entrepreneur. We walk through various steps of starting a business, from turning an idea into a potential business plan, understanding market dynamics and potential competition, cost analysis or cost benefit analysis, production costs, how to pitch ideas to potential funders, and most importantly, how to market a small business effectively. Next is our Off the Block Capital after school program. We are so excited about this program. We just had a graduation for our first class. We know that wealth inequality has long been an issue for marginalized communities. Without access to wealth building tools, low resource communities are stuck in a vicious cycle of poverty. The curriculum that we have will walk participants through various parts of understanding stocks and financial literacy. The first pillar will introduce participants to the importance of understanding personal finance, and then next go into detail about the constituents of what can be eligible to receive a weekly stipend based on attendance and participation. And the last part of our youth services workforce development programs is our Leader Spark, where we are helping to prepare young people to meet the challenges of adolescence and adulthood through a series of activities and tools that help them to become socially, morally, emotionally, physically, and cognitively competent. That concludes my presentation today. Thank you so much for listening to me rant and go on about all of the opportunities here at Impact Community Action Agency. If you have any questions, you want to reach out to us, our information is listed here. I also have the Director of Empowerment Services as well as the Director of Youth Services listed as well. Please feel free to contact us. We can answer any questions for you and assist you in any way that we can. Thank you so much for your time. Have a great day.
Thank you, Teresa. Ladies, we got to try to really stay under 10 minutes so that we can get the questions in. So Marilyn and then Tomeka. Marilyn, unmute me, please. Marilyn, unmute your line, please.
Please, first, thank you for inviting me to this presentation. I want to talk about our county. We service Mahoning County here at MyCap. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about the key to adapting to the ever-changing conditions. Now, right now in Mahoning County, there is, as of March 2022, there's a 5% unemployment rate. In November of 2021, there was 4.5%. In Youngstown specifically, which we're always included in the data for Warren and Boardman, in November, the unemployment rate was 4.7, and in March this year, 5.2. So instead of, everyone knows there's tons of opportunities and job openings right now. Instead of the unemployment rate going down, it's going up. Nationally, it's 3.6, and in Ohio, it's 4.1. So as, next slide, please. We'll talk about a little bit about what MyCap has done in workforce development. And we've always been, in the last 6 years, and I do recall even previously, under a different administration, there was some form of what was called training and skills opportunities with soft skills and getting folks together, registering them to talk about what to expect in the workforce. In 2018, we began to develop these strong relationships in our community, which are absolutely necessary to make this program successful. We became members of the manufacturing coalitions. There's over 200 members there already that have opportunities. We partner with Eastern Gateway, the community college, the YSU, the university. And I worked with Rebecca with a couple cohorts through those grants, state grants, that were very successful. And when I say successful, I mean that we were able to get people, applicants through and place them on jobs. Were the numbers there? And what I mean, was the impact as we wanted to? Not all the time. It seems like we can get people to come and listen to what we have to offer, but the key to measure the outcome is, do they stay on the training course? Do they finish? Do they get placed in the job? And when you follow up a year later, are they still there? So those are kind of the measurements that we like to look at to see if the program's successful. We continue to work with all these great partners, and we entered in 2019, right before COVID, the Professional Development Center, downtown Youngstown. Just met with them earlier this year, and 800 candidates walked through those doors. We placed 2 of our great staff that always do great work, Roger Belts and Amber Rios, she's new with us. That same year she started, and she just recently got her coaching certification. So when you look at that, our rate is 5.2 of unemployment. That's over 11,500 unemployed folks in the area, residents. And so we're not happy that perhaps approximately 110 were placed, job placement. We don't know right now if they were all still there. But I know that we've done great work because we continue to develop these relationships. And with Ultimum Cell, which is out in Lordstown, those are the batteries for these electric vehicles. We've already have a partnership with Stella Works, which is a platform where they can apply, and they have the direct connection to the human resource or recruiter at Ultimum, and we've already placed a couple of people there. And so, although we continue to do strides and the staff is doing great work, we're looking to pivot the program once again, because after COVID, we know that things have changed. And so we had a huge job fair just a couple of weeks ago where they report over 300 people came through the doors. I'm not so much sold on job fairs because we have to do that a little differently now too. Do we know how many people were interviewed, how many people were placed into job positions, and then follow up with that? So I think we need to have more commitment from those that are providing tables to report back, and make sure that we have that data, collect the data so we can see how we can format our programs. Next slide, please. So we're looking at making changes. Once again, we've been working it. We've done the online. The staff did a great job online, but again, we didn't reach as many people as we would have liked to. We're looking now to see what the conditions, what has changed in the community. Why aren't we getting the people in the jobs that need to make these great hourly wages now? Because now it's $17, $16 an hour compared to the $8 and $9 and $10 that we were working with right before COVID. And a lot of even the manufacturers and others are providing benefits right when you start. That still is not enticing enough job searchers to seek jobs and stay on the jobs. So we're looking to adapt a different mindset because it has changed since COVID. People have choices, right? They don't have to take or go back to where they were. Many people have been working on jobs that they hated, whether they were there 5 years, 1 year. So we need to find out why. Why is there no attraction now to better wages and better jobs? So we have a couple of initiatives out for grants with this concept of changing and doing more case management, but individualized case management, really sitting down with the candidate and asking, what got you here? What are you thinking? Why haven't you been able to get a job? Why did you leave your job? And doing a holistic approach about the family. Are those things that are hindering them to go? Is it fear? I can tell the story of my daughter that has a master's degree in education, but chose to stay with her son that's going to be 10 in a couple of weeks. And when she verbalized that she was going back, that was last year. I'm still working with her to get her, because she's lost her confidence. She's scared of the unknown. She's scared of what is heard on the news, with education. And luckily she's now enrolled to be a substitute, because, encouragement was, let's take baby steps. Just don't go out there, which really makes me think that the candidates that we need to reach, these over 11,500, we need to really sit down and not worry about how many we place in jobs, but that those that we place are the right place for them. Ms. Triplett, we were talking earlier, she's on the board of the Mercy Health, which is one of the biggest companies that hire here, and they are so desperate that they now have a program within their program for entry level. And so we will be a partner with them. And the director of the program, she shared an experience that she thought she found the most excellent, and these are entry jobs, so I'm going to say an STNA health aide. And she was doing great, went through all the training. They have such a fantastic program that if they do well in that entry program and start there, if they want to go into LPN or X-ray technician, they'll pay for everything 100%. So they get to all the way to the point where she's hired, and they notice that her nails are extremely long. And then they have the conversation, well, you're going to have to cut back down on your nails because you have to wear gloves, and that's not really conducive for healthcare. She told them she was going to think about it. And to make a long story short, she quit. She refused to cut back some of her nails. So that we were just discussing that are pivoting in this program to really sit down and find out what people are thinking and feeling. They could have saved a lot of time and training with her had they talked about that at the point of entry and not later, because maybe healthcare was not the best career for her if she was so involved and emotionally attached to her nails. And that's her choice. But I think that was a perfect example of what we've been talking about, is to find out where people best fit, not where we think that they best fit, which is what we do. We invite them into recruitment. Let me tell you where we're going to go, and then you're going to go here. And what we found is, yeah, we get numbers there, but then we get 20% that sign up, and then we get 2% that might finish. And so we have to change with the changing conditions. We have to change in the way we work one-on-one. We hope to bring on more licensed social workers that can make referrals for counseling, mental health, all those things before we even talk to them about let's go into our programs. And so that's a employment preparation program. And we hope that that will have a bigger impact. And I'll look forward to reporting out hopefully next year and see where we're going with that. If anyone has any questions, we can answer them at the end. Thank you.
Thank you, Marilyn. I appreciate that. We want to open this time for Q&A. And we know that some hands are going up. So let's see here.
We don't have time for Tomeka, Miss.
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot we had one more. That's my fault. Yes, we do have time. I think you're on mute, Ms. Tomeka.
Am I no longer on mute? Thank you all for allowing me this opportunity to share with you what we are doing here at Pathway as it relates to workforce development. As the panel so explicitly stated and so expressively well, all of us are doing a great work here in the Community Action Network, and it really takes all of us to make a difference. Just some highlights on the history of Pathway here. For most people, if you don't know, in 1965, we became a community action agency under the Economic Opportunity Planning Association of Greater Toledo, and later branded ourselves to Pathway Inc., being the designated community action agency for the Lucas County area. So just so you can make that connection, just in case you didn't know that the agency rebranded itself. We also want to ensure that we just give kudos to ours and the rest of the team for understanding that community action comes together to make a change. So we are glad to be here to ensure that we want to be a great partner in this respect and to make sure we're doing what we need to do to engage job seekers and moving the needle to self-sufficiency. Some of the programs offered here at Pathway that wraps around job seekers, of course, is our Employment and Career Services program, the Community Connection program offering utility services or services with access to appliances, our Community Resource Center and Home Relief Services with rental, mortgage, and utility assistance, our Popular Home Energy Assistance program with summer and winter crisis assistance, our senior brokering department that helps all of our seniors or disabled that are 65 years of age or older age in place. The senior emergency home repair program that complements the senior brokering program in that respect. And our famous Brothers and Sisters United program that helps families connect to jobs, to family stand together and actually getting co-parents to work together harmoniously. So all of those programs are available to all of our job seekers that wraps around the entire family. Let's talk about the Employment and Career Services program and partnerships, including entrepreneurship. The biggest program, which is our key program at Pathway that involves our job seekers accessing jobs, is our PAID program. Someone said, what is PAID? Well, our job seekers used to always come to our agency and say, look, Ms. Rushing, I just want to know how to get paid. And so that's where this acronym came from, professional and individual development. So I would say, well, in order for you to get paid, in order for you to retain your payment and your financial engagement, you have to learn how to be professional and individually driven. So that is where this acronym comes from. And with that, we provide classroom instruction and career coaching that wraps around job seekers to help them get on the path to self-sufficiency. And we do most of that through, I said, classroom instruction, coaching, as well as assessments through digital literacy and individual assessments, interviewing techniques, problem solving and conflict resolution, linkages to education and certification opportunities, and the end result being job placement services. And just sharing a little data with you, since January of 22, post-pandemic, already 66 participants have enrolled in the program, with 59 of them graduating. And of that 59, 28 have secured employment, with 10 earning a living wage. 10 of those additional job seekers have furthered their education by enrolling into a short-term certification opportunity. So what that's saying is, as Marilyn and Teresa and Yvonne has stated, that pipeline to workforce is changing. And in order for people to earn a credible wage, it's not just going to seek a degree at a collegiate institution, but it's also given the opportunity to earn a certification in order to increase their employability and put them on that path to self-sufficiency. The next, one of our partnerships that drives this job seeking opportunity is our Financial Opportunity Center. Pathway is a designated financial opportunity center, and through that, we are trained and certified coaches, all of my staff, including myself, to offer principal and budget and balancing, dealing with debt, credit scores, general financing and savings, vital tax preparations through the United Way, and access to banking services through partnership. And then since July 21, we are lucky to report that 141 individuals have enrolled into the FOC to receive our financial services. So that further lets us know that job seekers are not just wanting a job, but they're also wanting to learn how to budget and balance their money so they can stay financially stable. We also have in partnership with LIST, this is the Local Initiative Support Corporation here locally and nationally, the opportunity to offer bridges to career opportunity services. Within this respect, individuals have access to technical training, financial literacy services, and classroom instruction opportunities to help them on that path to career advancement. One of the focus for Pathway is advanced manufacturing. In this region, Toledo, Lucas County, and abroad, we are a big manufacturing state. So the big push is to ensure that we can offer tools and training to folk who want to access manufacturing jobs, in addition to promoting services within healthcare, IT, and advanced manufacturing certifications. All of those persons entering those educational opportunities and certification opportunities are linked to a career coach who will mentor them and help them on that path to self-sufficiency. We are also partners with Ohio to Work, which is another Jobs Ohio partnership. This partnership and Pathway partnership that does even more, gives even more support in helping job seekers access certification opportunities, with the opportunity also to have some financial support to achieve so. So what that means to you is there is actually funding that can help a job seeker earn a certification with some financial support. Sometimes that financial support is, they have to have a match, meaning they have to invest in themselves in some type of way in order to get that certification paid for. And in other cases, we are able to provide some type of financial support to help someone that is in a more of a barrier or low income state achieve that certification without having a financial hardship. We are part of Job and Family Services Prevention, Retention, and Contingency Program. What that does is, again, wrap around the family and job seekers and make sure they have access to barrier removal services. Although Pathway does have some funding that help with that particular barrier, it is great to have partnerships and leverage resources that can actually help you to serve more people. And that is what the PRC program does through Job and Family Services. It leverages our resources from the state of Ohio to offer additional job seekers and families that type of support. We also have, happy to report, we have a career connections closet here, sometimes accessing work clothing, interview and attire, and just preparing for the job is a barrier when people don't have proper clothing. So seek through donations, partnerships, and relationships. Those donations are given at Pathway, they're cleaned, and then they are hung into our career closet. So any job seeker needed to have interview attire or just dress for success have free clothing or gently used clothing and shoes that they can access free of charge. We also have our Summer Youth Employment Program in partnership with Job and Family Services, offering in-school youth ages 14 to 18 years of age a summer work experience. This is huge for us in this region, and I'm sure in your region as well, as many of our job seekers are, many of our youth are starting to engage in much gun violence, violence itself, and need some type of violence prevention techniques and interventions so we can stop them from killing each other, for the better choice of words. So through this Summer Youth Employment Program, we will introduce some of those concepts, help these youth and young adults to think differently. And then hopefully the youth and young adults that we touch can spread the word and lean on some of their peers and help them to think differently as well, all in hopes to let each other live longer and promote a life of self-sufficiency instead of killing each other at an early age, where it's really diminishing our opportunity for a future. And then our partnership with ONS Aspire. Of course, job seekers are going back to school, which is phenomenal. So we have a partnership with ONS Aspire that offers classes here on site at Pathway in partnership, and anyone, whether they're in the community or accessing our services, can come to Pathway to receive GED services. If they offer the services through Pathway, then they are not charged anything to access that GED opportunity. We have also a partnership with Toledo Municipal Court. We are addressing, of course, the reentry population in this respect and giving them the opportunity to get case management, educational opportunities, and access to jobs, so we can reduce recidivism. It's just what it is. We don't want offenders to go back to jail. We want folk to learn that, okay, we made a mistake, but now we can put ourselves on a different path and learn how to be successful citizens, and that's all we require. Lastly of that, partnerships are important. These are all the partnerships that we have, some of them that we have in workforce, and others are growing, but we do know that Pathway cannot do it all. So partnerships and relationships are key to ensuring that we have a link to other supportive services to help people be successful. And then lastly of that, I did leave some of our website information. If you need to reach me, I am on here. Pathway Toledo has a plethora of information on our website. Please visit that so you can see everything other services are doing as well. Our Ohio to Work partner features Pathway on there so you can see what we're doing here. Jobs Ohio and LISC as well. And that will conclude my presentation.
Thank you. Thank you. The information, there's a lot of information to process. And even though I've been looking into community action agencies, I'm still amazed at the level of activity and appreciate each of you sharing. We do have just a minute, so if there are questions from the audience, please feel free to enter those in the chat. I'm gonna start with one just really quickly, and I think the mention of partnership, each of the speakers talked about partnership, and I'd love to have I don't know, maybe Yvonne or whoever wants to weigh in about the best way to get in touch for partnership. There's a lot going on in workforce right now, so what's the best way for the folks on this call to connect with you to partner? Just email one of you, something else?
Yeah, Rebecca, that's a great question. And thank you again for allowing us to be here during Community Action Month. Tomeka, if you could stop sharing your screen, that'd be great. In terms of the community partnerships, absolutely. In your local communities, as you know, there are 50 community action agencies across the state of Ohio. So we strongly encourage you to reach out to any one of those community action agencies that are in your region directly. And then if you're thinking about some of the data and the repository and those things that we share with you around the work and the services that we're doing, I'd be happy to be your contact person. But Marilyn, Teresa, Tomeka are great start point of contacts within their region. And then, as I mentioned before, we have 6 other members of the organization.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, I think also certainly partnership, and then also continuing to talk to you all about the challenges and opportunities facing workers in our urban areas, anything from the quality of jobs that are available to them, structural racism that they face, digital redlining, so on and so forth. So we look forward certainly to continuing that dialogue. We are at time for today, but greatly appreciate each of you sharing your work. Thank you to those of you, particularly our rural community action partners who may be on the call. And we will continue to be in touch and appreciate everyone.